What if the reason you can't find peace is because you're trying too hard to find it? Imagine waking up every morning with 100 thoughts already waiting for you. You think about what happened yesterday, what might happen tomorrow, what people think about you, and whether you're making the right choices. You try to solve every problem before it happens, but somehow, the harder you think, the more restless your mind becomes. This is the story of a young man who traveled to the top of a mountain, searching for inner peace, only to discover that peace was never waiting for him on the mountain. It was hidden inside the one place he had been trying desperately to escape from, his own mind. In a small village surrounded by green hills, lived a young man named Hiro. Hiro was intelligent, hardworking, and ambitious, but there was one thing he could never control: his thoughts. Every night, while the rest of the village slept peacefully, Hiro lay awake thinking about his life. He replayed conversations from years ago and wondered what he should have said differently. He imagined future problems that hadn't even happened and worried about how he would deal with them. Even when something good happened, his mind immediately asked, "What if it doesn't last?" And when something went wrong, his mind asked, "What if everything gets worse?" Hiro had everything he needed to live a peaceful life, but his mind refused to let him experience it. One morning, an old traveler arrived in the village and told Hiro about a Zen master who lived high on a distant mountain. The traveler said,
"The path is long, and the dangers ahead are many. You must be cautious. I understand. I will not fail."
And some return with an entirely different way of seeing life. Hiro immediately knew where he needed to go. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Hiro began climbing the mountain. For 3 days, he walked through forests, crossed narrow bridges, and climbed paths that seemed to disappear into the clouds. But even while climbing, his mind refused to rest. What if the master can't help me? What if I've wasted these 3 days? What if there is no secret to inner peace? By the time Hiro reached the mountain summit, he was exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with walking. He finally saw the Zen master sitting quietly beneath an old tree. Hiro bowed and said, "Master, I have come because I want peace." The master opened his eyes and calmly asked, "What makes you believe you don't already have it?" Hiro was confused. "Because my mind never stops," he replied. "I think about the past. I worry about the future, and I cannot control my thoughts."
True peace always comes from within, my boy. Do not search for it in the world outside.
The master stood up and led Hiro into a small courtyard behind the temple. In the center of the courtyard stood a large stone basin, filled completely with water. Beside it sat a tiny wooden bowl. The master handed Hiro a small ladle and said, "Empty the basin." Hiro looked at the tiny bowl and then at the enormous basin. "Master, where should I put all this water?" The master simply smiled and said, "That is for you to discover." So Hiro began. He dipped the ladle into the basin, carried the water carefully, and poured it into the little bowl. Then he repeated the process again and again. After an hour, the basin still looked almost completely full. Hiro became frustrated and started moving faster, but the faster he moved, the more water he spilled. His hands became tense, his breathing became heavy, and his thoughts became louder. "I can't do this," he finally said. The master watched him silently. Hiro looked at the basin and shouted, "Why did you give me an impossible task?" The master walked toward him and gently took the ladle from his hand. Then he asked, "Why are you in such a hurry?" "Because I have to empty the basin." "Do you?" Hiro stared at him. The master pointed toward the water and said, "You are so focused on finishing that you have stopped noticing what you are doing. Every scoop makes you think about the next scoop. Every mistake makes you think about the previous one. And while your hands are carrying water, your mind is somewhere else entirely."
True peace is found not in the absence of storms, but in the stillness of the heart. Let your mind settle, my son. True peace always belongs to the gentle heart.
The more desperately you try to stop your thoughts, the more attention you give them. Instead, stop fighting your thoughts and return your attention to what is directly in front of you.
True peace is found within. Cherish every moment.
Just carry this moment. The master handed the ladle back to Hero. This time, Hero didn't rush. He took one slow breath and looked at the water. He noticed the movement of the surface, the sound of the ladle touching the basin, and the feeling of water flowing through it. He filled the ladle. He walked. He poured. Then he returned. There was no thinking about how many scoops remained. There was no worrying about whether he would succeed. There was only the next scoop. And strangely, something began to change. The task hadn't become easier. The basin hadn't become smaller, but Hero had become calmer. And because he was calm, his movements became precise. Because his movements became precise, he stopped spilling water. And because he stopped spilling water, the bowl slowly began to fill. Hours passed. Hero kept working quietly, one scoop at a time. Eventually, the bottom of the stone basin appeared. Hero looked at the master in disbelief. The master smiled and said, "You were never defeated by the basin. You were defeated by your need to finish it immediately." Hero finally understood. Most of us live exactly the way he had lived. We are eating while thinking about work. We are working while worrying about the future. We are talking to someone while thinking about what we will say next. We are resting while feeling guilty about everything we haven't finished. Our bodies are here, but our minds are constantly somewhere else. And then we wonder why life feels exhausting. The lesson isn't that you should never think about your past or future. The lesson is that you shouldn't live there. The past can teach you, but it cannot be changed. The future can be prepared for, but it cannot be controlled. The only thing you can actually touch is this moment. So when your mind becomes overwhelmed, don't try to solve your entire life at once. Take the next step, do the next task, have the next conversation, take the next breath, one scoop at a time. Because sometimes peace doesn't come when life becomes easier. Peace comes when you finally stop demanding that life happen differently than it is happening right now. And perhaps that's what it really means to empty your mind. Not to have no thoughts, but to stop letting every thought control where you are. So the next time your mind feels crowded, remember Hero and the little bowl. You don't have to empty the entire basin today. You only have to take the next scoop. If this story made you look at your own life a little differently, subscribe to WhatIforia for more stories that make you stop, think, and see life from a different perspective. And remember, you don't need to control every thought. You just need to choose which thought deserves your attention. One moment, one breath, one scoop at a time.